You got it. Um, we talked about this last time, Chris. I asked if you were at the meeting with Donald Trump when just before the meeting, David Wilcock, when I took this screenshot, said,
Oh, yeah.
"I have not met yet with 45, but I've met everyone else." And then he
Okay.
went off to the meeting. So, were you in the room maybe when he was filming this, or were you were probably close?
I was close, but no, I wasn't in the room with him, but I was with him that night before he took this picture. And well, probably even after, but yeah. So that was when he actually stayed at the Trump International Hotel. I think he was there 2 nights. So we were there. Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah, and that was October of 2020 when the the David bought Stavatti, or
Yeah,
the
he
yeah.
he had done yeah, he became an investor and a shareholder and a director and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the director of advanced technologies, is he?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is pretty cool. That's
yeah. And it was a year later that I had the Zoom call with him,
okay.
and then the very next day I posted the theory of anti-gravity according to subquantum kinetics and Paul Laviolette on his Halloween forum of it's
Okay.
October 31st of 2021, and
Mhm.
it ended up really oddly number 51, which is kind of strange, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But cool. Must say that it's cool.
Yeah.
Going back to that, maybe you could talk a little bit more about Pete Peterson. He, I always want to know more about Pete. He was just amazing.
Oh goodness. Well, what would you like to know exactly? Is there any
Well, I guess it's the story. Like what I want to get out to the people is the story of how Stavatti started, because it was Pete that introduced you to David Wilcock, right?
true? Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so Stavatti had started in '94, and so we had known about Pete some years after it started, and Pete was really focused on exotic technologies. And more importantly, part of the exotic technologies was the scandium aluminum work. And so he
Oh
was part of
wow.
the Ashurst technology. And Ashurst was kind of a unique organization. There's a lot of rumors about it, but it was a privately funded, CIA funded, Air Force funded initiative to
Okay.
export technology from the former Soviet Union, and it concentrated on technologies out of Ukraine. And so they
Oh,
had CIA aspects of it. They had Air Force people, and some of those Air Force people who were associated with it later became members of our team. And they did a lot of great tangible things. They brought the scandium aluminum to the United States, and it entered into like Smith and Wesson's Timatic series of firearms, their handguns. It
oh, I
entered
didn't know that. Wow.
yeah, the Eastman baseball, it became baseball bat material. It became bicycle material. It
Wow.
was given to McDonnell Douglas for McDonnell Douglas operations. And so, this was something that we discovered early on, that Russian MiG fighters had a strange corrosion occurring when we would replace parts with traditional aluminum, like 20,
Yeah.
25, and 75. And we found out they were using scandium. And this was something they were doing in the 60s. I mean, like MiG-21s have scandium aluminum in them, and our planes did not. This is a new thing.
Yeah.
We still don't really use it in any large quantity other than with Stavatti. And so that was part of the Pete Peterson element. That was the real tangible. He was over in Ukraine quite a bit, bringing over technology. And when I traveled to Ukraine years later to meet with the laboratories that were working on that technology in Kyiv, he ended up the director said, "Well, are you with Mr. Miracle?" And I said, "Yeah, that would be Pete. So yes, I'm with Mr. Miracle. I'm over here to follow up." And he says, "Well, it's been some time, and we've developed a lot of new things." And so that was pretty exciting. And of course, this was before the war. I think this was probably back in like 2015 or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's been ongoing work, and Pete was still alive at that time. So of course I relayed the whole story to him. He didn't travel to Ukraine on that trip, but that was sort of the kind of the beginnings of that relationship. And then he had introduced us to a company called Omnigon, what was left of it, which was really you could say it was an AI company that was developed in the 80s and 90s. And it was ultimately a division of General Dynamics. And
Okay.
Dynamics had sunk a lot of money at the time. They put about $40 million in, and the government put a lot of money in as well to do what was the beginnings of artificial technology using something called hyper knowledge. And this got into a lot of interesting things. A lot of, we exploited a lot of Russian technology. And part of one of the things that Pete talked a lot about was Zagalkin algebra. And the Russians didn't have sophisticated computers like we did.
Yeah.
We were very good at processors that were very high performance processors. The Russians used much less complicated processors, but they used very sophisticated algorithms and algebra. And so they had a different approach to mathematics. And so that was sort of the key to our interest in that type of AI at the time. And so we were combining topology with Russian algebra with other approaches to math. And so that was something that Pete was really good at integrating. And there were other people too. One of our persons, Peter Ostapchenko, was involved in that. And another name to throw out is Ken Happel, who's still alive today. He was kind of the genius behind the topology of hyper knowledge. And even today, this is stuff that is still groundbreaking today.
Yeah.
And then you get into the optical computing, which was another thing that Pete brought in, and the work of John Haidt, I think is the name, and that led to a whole new company, and it was very exciting. And the funny thing is that there was a company called Cyberdyne that was created years earlier. That was the Pete Peterson company, and since then, of course, Cyberdyne's been used by the Hollywood folks, and Pete, of course, had a lot of influence in that. I mean, one of the neat things about Pete is he had some of the pistols from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, wow.
He knew Glenn Larson. He said that Glenn Larson was the Sunday school teacher for his kids and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So
Really?
I don't know. No, that's what he said, but he did have a Battlestar
Wow.
pistol, which is really pretty cool. And
Yeah.
so that